We got a great guest with us, United States Congressman Andy Biggs, a Republican representing Arizona's 5th Congressional District. He serves on the President's task force to reopen the economy. Chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. Man, is he on the right show. Man, is he the right guy at the right time. Johnny on the spot. Andy Biggs, Congressman, how are you?
Great. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you and I met back in 2 years ago. It must have been 2018. There was a big Western conservative conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And I was at that conference, and we had a chance to serve on the same panel. And it was the first time I got a chance to meet you, and we got along great. And I'm sure we are very much same minds on the topic of reopening the economy. I've never said this is a hoax. I've never said that coronavirus isn't real. It's very real. I always treated it real, always treat it seriously. But what does the fact that people could get sick and die have to do with, to honor them or to save them? You make their grandchildren bankrupt. You make everyone jobless, penniless, and eventually we might be homeless. You make the average small businessman completely scared to death he's lost his life. Therefore, the stress causes cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, and he loses his life anyway. You cause people to commit suicide. You can't take away people's businesses and think there won't be major effects. So I just don't understand the point. Why can't we open our business and wear masks, practice social distancing, practice spacing, do all the things the doctors say that allows Costco and supermarkets to stay open? I want to do that with all of my businesses and keep them all open. Weigh in on that for me.
Well, you're right. You're 100% right. You said it very well. You summed it up. I mean, the reality is, regardless of how serious you think anybody thinks this is, and we do think it's serious, we've treated it seriously. We treat it with respect. But you know what we haven't treated with respect? Our rights. We haven't treated our economic rights. We haven't treated everybody equally. What we've said is some people are essential, others are not. Some people's businesses are essential, others are not. Look, here's the way you think of it. If you want to know what is an essential business, you let the market determine it, because the market will tell you if your business is essential, because if it's essential, it'll stay in business and it'll thrive. If it's non-essential, it won't stay in business. That's the cruelty, but it's also the justice and mercy of the marketplace. And we've dismantled that. We've said our essence of who we are as American people was really, really good, really strong, and we believed in this thing. We rarely did anything that was against it for over 200 years, but you know what? We've got this virus, and so what we're going to do is we're going to change up who we are. And what that does is it creates massive amounts of social pathologies. You listed them. It's suicide. It's alcohol abuse. It's drug
depression.
Abuse. It's depression. Everything that goes with it. It's domestic violence. It's child abuse. It's all the pathologies that nobody wants to see in the homes. It's families that break up. It is loneliness and depression and hopelessness that gets in there. I can't tell you what it's like. Everybody that I've talked to, I mean, I myself feel like you're static. I mean, I'm working every day from 6:30, 7 o'clock until all hours of the evening, talking to constituents, the administration, colleagues, conference calls with people. And the reality is, I see people feel they want to feel hope. Americans want to feel hope. They want to feel needed. They like to do meaningful work. They like to be engaged. And we're taking that away from them. And we're saying, guess what? Not only are we going to take that away from you, we're not going to let you get any kind of spiritual sustenance, which has been important to American life from the day we became a nation and before. And we're going to say we're going to close up churches. And we're going to disregard the rights of Americans. This is really, it's going to be a lasting problem for us.
Yeah, and I resent that word non-essential. First of all, I don't think any business is non-essential. But second of all,
right.
and I do love you, and you're my kind of guy, okay? You're my kind of politician, Congressman Andy Biggs. And yet, I'm going to say this, don't take offense. If someone's not essential, I would rather say Congress is not essential than any business in America. If I'm going to name someone non-essential, it's the politicians, not you in particular, but it's certainly the politicians in general. Nancy Pelosi is not essential to me. It's not the business people. What do you think about that? I'm not trying to insult you or anything.
Hey, look, I don't take offense to that at all. We've got it all. We've got it all backwards. I mean, you're exactly right. You tell me. Nancy Pelosi has rendered Congress non-essential. She's basically said, you know what, we're going to just close up Congress for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Because why? Well, we have a big emergency going on. We've got the worst economic situation since the Great Depression. We've got people in states that are violating constitutional rights. But you know what? It's not important for Congress to be in session. And we haven't even talked about. We've not even talked about FISA abuse, which needs to be investigated. We've not even talked about any of the other things that have to go on in this country. So she's deemed Congress non-essential. But I'll tell you what it's shown me is that there is hope for the country. You know what it is? It's moving back to federalism. I realize we've got governors who've acted like tyrants and mayors that have done the same. But you know what? Congress does not have an exclusive on the knowledge necessary to run this country. The technocrats in Washington, D.C. certainly don't have that. But you know who does? The people in the states. And the government that's closest to them is going to be the one, this is an old phrase, it's going to be the one that governs best. We need to get back to that federalism. That's where we need to be doing it. And I look at this and I say, here's a little hope. Hopefully the people understand that the feds really should be a much smaller government and let the states run things that do better that way.
I don't know if you heard the lieutenant governor of Texas, but he is fabulous. And he made a comment that, there's 29 million people in the state of Texas and 495 have died over coronavirus. And while that's terrible, and every time we say it, we have to say that or we get in trouble with the liberal media. We're all terrible people. We must want people to die. Of course not. Every death is terrible. Every life is valuable. But having said that, 495 dead is not a reason to shut down an economy of 29 million people. And I feel the same way in your state, Arizona, in my state, Nevada. We're not New York. In the entire state of Nevada, we have 167 that have died of coronavirus. In your state, I just saw the updated figure was 208 have died in the state of Arizona. It's terrible. I don't want anyone to die. But is that a reason to shut down an economy and take our livelihoods away?
Well, I don't know if you saw this article reported out of Tennessee where they've had more suicides than coronavirus deaths.
Wow.
This is really, this is the tragedy of this. This is what happens. So Fauci, who drives me absolutely crazy, I think it's time for him and Birx to go. He says, we did not consider economic or societal difficulties when we were coming up with our policies to try to slow this virus down. We just didn't even let that enter. And that is probably what you would expect because that's what they do. That's their job. But you know what we need? We need people who are going to look across the board and say, we recognize this is serious. This is what we can do to slow it down. But how about what did Taiwan do? Taiwan's 80 miles off of China. They get 3 million visitors from China every year. They stayed open. What they did, they took the temperature of people coming in. They closed off travel with China. When President Trump did it, they said, he's a racist and a xenophobe. But Taiwan did it. And, they've had fewer than 500 cases, and I think the total number of deaths is like 3 deaths. And what's the deal with Taiwan? Taiwan is one of the most congested places on the planet. And they somehow managed to keep their economy open. Right. But they've also managed to deal with this.
Congressman Andy Biggs, I said from day one, here's what I said on my national radio, national TV show from day one. I'm not saying to not be scared. I'm not saying this is not terrible. But what we need to do is figure out who's at risk. And the way I would have handled it is take those who are at risk, who are older and sicker or have immune suppression diseases, and let them be quarantined and keep them away from the economy and lock them down for a short period of time, a month or two, and let the rest of us run the economy and keep it alive so when they come back, they've got something great to come back to. Wouldn't that have been a simple way to run everything?
Yeah, that's what I was advocating for from the beginning as well. That's all right, what you do.
Congressman Andy Biggs, one of the first, if not the first member of Congress to call for America to reopen. My kind of guy. Congressman Biggs, good luck getting Arizona back open again. And we're trying here with a very liberal, nutty governor, Democrat governor, to try and get Nevada open, Las Vegas open. Not easy. He won't even set a date. You guys at least have a Republican governor. It's reasonable. Congressman Andy Biggs, appreciate you coming on today. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you. Have a great one, Wayne.